So the Doom Scythe is $65, or if you're in the UK, it's £40 on the nose. Or alternatively, you can get it in the Necron's Combat Patrol box, which costs $150 or £90. And that of course comes with other units within that box set. Now it's got the Flyer Battlefield role, so you will be limited to how many flyers you can actually take within your list. You can only take 1 aircraft if you're using the Combat Patrol lists or the Incursion lists, 2 if you're playing Strike Force, and 3 if you're playing Onslaught. But in terms of their actual role within our Necron Codex, they basically are like a heavy support option, except it's a flyer, not a heavy support. So as for the points cost, it's going to be costing you 160 points to have this flyer in your list. Now because it's a vehicle, it's going to have the core keyword, so it can be buffed with things such as My Will Be Done, but that will be quite difficult to achieve because it does have a minimal movement of 20 inches, and it's also going to have that 90-degree pivot pre-move because of that supersonic ability that it has. So being able to use, say, Command Barge or an Overlord to do that My Will Be Done ability on the Doom Scythe isn't always as straightforward as it seems. Now along with the supersonic ability, it also has the airborne ability, so only enemy models that have the fly keyword can actually make melee attacks against our aircraft. And to add to that, it's also got the hard to hit ability, so to hit our Doom Scythe it's actually a -1 to the hit roll. Gives it a little bit more of a defense because it's not going to have that quantum shield ability, so it can be wounded on less than a 4+, and it also doesn't have an in-1 save either. Now it does have a damage table on the profile because it has 12 wounds, so once it drops to 6 wounds, the movement, the ballistic skill and the attacks gets dropped down, and then when it goes down to 3 wounds, it also gets dropped down again. So it's only really the ballistic skill that's significant there, and possibly the movement as well. The attacks, I'm not too worried about. This thing shouldn't really be attacking anything. It's mainly going to be used for its range firepower. Now, if this thing was to be bracketed, you do have the stratagem at your disposal, which is the Stellar Alignment Protocol stratagem for 1 command point. And when you use this, the runner will be treated as if it's got full wounds remaining. So your full ballistic skill, so a 3+, full movement if you need that movement as well, mainly for the ballistic skill here. 1 command point, you're not hitting on a 5+, you're hitting on a 3+. So weapon wise, it comes with a heavy Death Ray, 36-inch range, heavy 3, strength 12, -4 AP, and the damage is quite nice, it's D3+3. This is a solid anti-tank weapon, and the damage itself is pretty good. There's not many options within our codex to have a decent damage such as D3+3. Most of our heavy support units have D6 as their damage, which is pretty poor. Only really our Locust Heavy Destroyers compete with the Doom Scythe. Now the other weapon is a Twin Tesla Destructor. Again, it's 36-inch range, but it's heavy 10, it's strength 7, no AP, and 1 damage. Each hit of a 6 will score 2 additional hits, so with the 10 shots, on average you should be getting 10 hits there. Now this is pretty decent against light infantry, not so much against power armor and things like that because there's no AP there, and even if it was, there'll be armor of contempt involved anyway. So this is mainly used for weaker units, toughness 3 units with a pretty low armor save. Now don't forget this is a Tesla weapon, so you can use the Malevolent Arcing stratagem for 1 command point to throw out some additional mortal wounds to the target and other targets that are nearby. Now if this model was to get destroyed, you can pull out another stratagem which is Curse of the Pharaon. It's 1 command point, and you can automatically explode. You don't need to roll that 6 to explode, you just automatically explode. And in the case of the Doom Scythe, any units within 6 inches are going to suffer D3 mortal wounds. So when it is on its last legs, fly into enemy quarters, surround it by lots of enemy models, let it go boom, it's going to cause a lot of damage there. So it's mainly used for the anti-tank weaponry with the Death Ray, but also can get rid of some light screens if needed. It's really useful to bypass obscuring terrain, especially turn 1. Lots of models are going to be hiding behind that terrain feature, whereas this can fly up at the board, get a better angle at those enemy units. Don't expect to keep your flyer all game, it's going to get targeted quite early. Also, unfortunately, it can't be holding any of your primary objectives, and it can't be doing most of your secondary objectives either. So it can't be doing behind enemy lines, engaging all fronts, it also can't be doing any of the actions. And even Ancient Machineries, it does have the core keyword, but flyers cannot do actions. So it can't do that either. So in terms of scoring points, it's not going to be doing that much for you. So in smaller games, it might be a little bit of a waste of points, putting your points into a flyer, as opposed to a unit that's actually on the ground. But for the Doom Scythe, I'm going to be giving the Planet 40k rating of 3 stars.